I'm Rob from Barefoot Gaming, and this is our Vengeful Rites virtual reality review. So Vengeful Rites is a single-player linear role-playing game. So this has heavy combat, so you'll be using your sword a lot, or you'll be using magic a lot, or you'll be using your bow a lot, or a combination thereof. This works on the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift. We have not tested it on Windows Mixed Reality, and oddly enough, the developers don't have access to it, so they haven't tested it on Windows Mixed Reality either. Now, I can't call it a role-playing game if you can't customize aspects of your own character, and here you can. They've got different ways to do that. You can, when you're killing enemies, you get coins. You also get coins from mining, like gold and certain resources and such. And with that, you can buy better weapons. You can customize which kind of weapons you want to buy, or you buy rune stones so you can enchant your weapons, as well as there are certain hidden areas where you can upgrade how many hit points you'll have. And then when you progress past a certain area, you'll be able to choose if you want to upgrade your sword strike, or if you want to upgrade your bow strike, or if you want, more mana. And you can't collect all of it, which I kind of like the fact that it doesn't let you just master everything. So there are puzzles, there are boss fights, and let's talk about some of the magic. Now, the way the magic works is you select your magic option in either your right or your left hand, and there are 4 schools of magic you can choose from. So one is kinetic, one is destructive, one is offensive, and one is like healing. And to give you a basic example of how this works, let's say you want to use the defensive spell, you select it with your controller, and then when you hold your trigger for, let's say, a shield, for example, you pull your trigger and you make the motion as if you want to unlock a door. And it goes through this in the tutorial to show you kind of how this works. And anytime you have the opportunity to level up and learn new spells, it'll tell you what you have to do. Like a blast, a psychic blast is done by holding it to your chest and then pushing out and letting go at the end. But again, you have to unlock that. Now, something this game does is it actually makes you calibrate every time you start the game. So it wants to know, where the center of your chest is, where your waist is. It wants to know how far apart your arms are. So it has you configure this every time when you first start. And it only takes a couple seconds, but it really matters because you're going to be reaching behind your back. Your lower back is where you're going to store your bow. Over your shoulders is where you're going to be storing your backpack. You've got your sword on your hip. And again, it really matters. You want to be able to do this really easy. And because of the movements with your hands and the spells, it's very important that it knows where your body parts are. So heavy emphasis is on combat, like I said, and they prevent you from doing like the waggle maneuver where you're just wiggling your hand. You actually have to swing. If you don't, you do almost no damage to the enemies. And speaking of, there are multiple different enemy types. Now you'll have your sword-based goblins, you'll have your mage-based goblins, you'll have your bow and arrow guys, you'll have your bosses. And I should also mention that the game also utilizes a parry system. So you definitely want to be able to block the sword strikes coming at you. You can't just come in and kill them. They have too much health, and clearly they've enjoyed difficult games, so they really wanted to amp up the difficulty of combat itself. I don't think I mentioned the fact that this has 2 forms of movement. You can slide move or teleport move. 2 more things I'll mention before I actually get to the review is this game requires room scale. The other thing I'm going to mention is they also decided to utilize physical climbing. So when there are ladders, when there are certain things, you can't climb anything, but when there are things you can climb like a ladder, you will physically be climbing it. One more step to, immerse you in their world. So I've listed all of that. Let's get to pros, let's get to cons. So it's currently going for $20 US, $22.79 Canadian. And the first pro I'm going to list is the fact that they have obviously put a lot of love into this. This is made by 2 guys, twin brothers, and clearly they have loved Zelda because it has a heavy Zelda feel and it has that style of graphics, and I enjoy it. I thought it was very cartoony and I could enjoy it for what it was. As I said before, the enemies are tough, but they're tough in a good way. So when you're fighting somebody with a sword, in the beginning that's all you'll be doing, but when you have to worry about a mage teleporting in behind you and you have to spin around and you'll be pulling up your magic shield, but your shield goes down every time it gets hit, your mana gets reduced, and you really have to play smart. I think the magic system is very well done. I like the fact that it's actually got little movements with your hands to implement it. It's one more thing that brings you into feeling like you belong there, as long as you can remember them. I like the fact that you can't unlock everything. You cannot become the master of the sword, of the bow, and of magic. You choose what you are going to upgrade, and you won't have enough points by the time the thing gets to the end to have everything. Multiple saves. Oh my goodness, why don't more VR games have this? Thank you for having multiple saves, so I can save my progress and I can have someone else come over and they can play from the beginning without messing up what I've got. So I'm gonna get to some of the cons. Now, the pickaxe I found neat but annoying. Every time you want to use your pickaxe, you have to reach over your back, pull out your backpack, pull out your pickaxe, right? Select it, pull out your pickaxe, and then mine. Now, obviously you're not gonna do that when enemies are around. It's fine, you've got your backpack floating there, mine, and then I don't see any more, so I put it back in the backpack, I put the backpack over my shoulder, and then I go further ahead and I see, oh, there's another spot to mine. So I pull out the backpack, pull out the pickaxe, mine. I kind of wish, I don't really have a solution for this, but I found the pickaxe more annoying than beneficial. I don't know if you could hang it on your right hip. I don't know if that would make it better. Might look ludicrous, but I didn't like the fact that a tool that was quite useful was such a pain in the butt to get it. Another con I'm gonna list is there are different styles of enemies. So you'll have your sword goblin, your archer goblin, your mage goblin, but all of your sword goblins will look the same. All your mage goblins will look the same. I wish there was a difference between them. I wish I didn't feel like I was killing the same one over and over and over. Another con I'm gonna list, now I listed that I like that it was difficult, which I do, but when it's difficult like that, I kind of want the game to be fair, and I found many times that I'm 100% confident I was blocking where the sword was coming, and it still hit me. And when you have to fight that often, and when your health really matters, I'd like that to be a little more consistent. And I think that's something that's fixable just with coding. I don't expect it to be a big issue, so I'm not gonna hit it too hard. But I know I was getting hit by arrows when I was hiding behind something and the arrows wouldn't have been able to get at me. A neat feature is the fact you can pluck arrows out of your body and fire them back at the enemy. I thought that was cool. The last con I'm gonna list is that the world doesn't feel alive. I know where I'm going to encounter enemies. If I fail, they're gonna be right back there again. Going from spot to spot to spot, it wasn't especially exciting. The world felt like it only existed because there was gonna be a goblin right there. There's only going to be 4 goblins through an underground tunnel. There's only going to be, it didn't feel alive. And again, I don't really know what the fix is. I don't know if it would just be NPCs walking around or maybe different style of enemies would already make a difference. Because I'm seeing the same one, maybe that's what's pulling me out of it. But the world just felt very stale. Even though the graphic style was fine, I didn't like the fact that it felt so stale. Now, as I mentioned, this is chapter 1. I talked to developers, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. They're all supposed to be coming out and they'll all be included in this price. So my score is again based entirely on chapter 1, what you're getting this far. But where this game is at right now, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's a fun romp. It's about 3 hours worth of gameplay. And even if they just release another chapter, if they add extra enemies, if they can just address some of the issues, score would go up. That's it. That's my score. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a message down below. Comment. I love hearing from you guys. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to know when these things are coming out. That is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. See ya.